Hello and welcome to Smash Writing. And today we're going to be checking out the movie Five Nights at Freddy's, a video game series from 2014 that I have got very, very limited amounts of knowledge on. I know a little bit about it. I know some of the basis. I watched Matt Pat's video on game theory going into this, so I can get a little bit more. It's a long video, great video. You should check it out if you haven't seen it. So I'm going into this roughly blind. If that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing, we'll see going in. Let's talk about it, shall we? Starting off with all we do it always. Just to discuss the movie. And first thought, oh god, it's a Blumhouse film. We shove past that thought, and we open up with a security guard trying to escape. He doesn't make it very far. He finds himself in a chair with the mask being forced onto his face. We get a fun title sequence opening from the video game that puts largely what happened in the game. You have a family restaurant, and one of the mascots, the giant yellow rabbit, is abducting kids in the back and is caught. Or not caught, but something's going on there. And we jump to our main character, and he's at work. He's working as a security guard at a mall, and he sees a little boy, and he thinks he's being abducted. Runs over there, starts beating the hell out of this guy. And it turns out it was his kid. His kid was just arguing with him. Yeah, he lost his job as a mall guard, and he goes to a career counselor for help. His name is Raglan, and Raglan is kind of upset because this guy keeps getting fired, and he's not really, doesn't appear to be trying very hard until he reads the last name. And he tells him about a job he has with lousy pay and worse hours. And Mike tells him he can't work nights, so Raglan gives him a card just in case he changes his mind, and Mike leaves. Of course, we need something to trigger him to go back to Raglan, and that something is his Aunt Jane. So Mike has a little sister he's helping take care of, but Jane doesn't view him as being good enough to do this because Mike's got some mental problems going on. And according to Jane, she just sits around and draws and talks through the air. She has imaginary friends. You know, God, the little girl just draws and pictures and has imaginary friends. No little kid does that. Insanity. Mike's kind of dejected by all this because she has a lawyer who worked up all these paperwork to pretty much force his hand here. But at the advice of the school counselor, he's going to fight this. He's going to try to do his best, and that's starting with taking the job that Raglan has. And we arrived at Freddy's. Freddy Fazbear's. And its job is simple. It's a closed down restaurant from the 80s. All he has to do is keep people out and clean up a little bit. That's it. Easy as cake. And of course, he makes a bit of walking around, he explores a little bit, he sees a bit of the animatronics, then he falls asleep at his desk like a true overnight worker. But that night he has a dream. He dreamed this before of a moment when he was a child and his brother was taken, and he didn't see who it is, and he dreams of this often because he's trying to learn tips on how to control his dreams to see if he can remember something, who took his brother. But on this occasion, there's something different. There are 5 kids in his dream that he's never seen before. He tries to catch one of them, but before he does, he wakes up. And we jump to the next day. There's a babysitter who keeps watching him named Max. She watches Abby for him. And we find out the next day, well, after he gets home, she leaves. She's actually working for Aunt Jane. And her brother, Jane, and the lawyer, her lawyer, he looks like he's about to have a stroke at any moment. Max is actually being sent there to try to find something criminal to use against Mike, but hasn't been able to find anything. So Jeff comes up with the idea that they'll break into the restaurant and mess it up and cost Mike this job. While they're doing that, Matt Pat shows up. Looks like he deserves it for all the work he's done. He deserved a cameo in this movie. But So they come up with the idea of the break, they head off. And before Mike can go to work, he has to kind of fight Abby. Abby wants to go with him, be a security guard with her big brother. That doesn't fly, so he leaves her in a puff. And that night, he goes almost immediately back to sleep. He's really trying to dream about these kids again. And he manages to catch one of them, who cuts him. And he wakes up to everything going haywire. He turns everything off and everything back on. And a cop arrives named Veronica. And she introduces him to the animatronics. They actually look pretty good, except for one body sparks at one point when he touches his guitar. She kind of hints around about something about the missing kids from the 80s. But the day ends, and they go off on separate ways. But when they're leaving, we see Jeff watching from afar. And when the coast is clear, him and his group break in, which does not make any goddamn sense. If they're trying to cost him his job, what you break in when he's there. But regardless, they make a mess of the place, but none of them are leaving. They're taken out, and Max goes in. She's led to Freddy by a little boy, and Freddy bites her in half. And back at the house, we actually get a really nice moment between Abby and Mike, because she finds the papers, and he's like, yep, I'm not going to let you, we have something in common. We both don't like Aunt Jane. And he's not going to just let her take her from him. And it's interrupted by Veronica, who shows up. She found his sleeping pill, these prescription pills that he's been taking to help him sleep. And the place has been trashed, and he must have forgot to lock the door, and someone got in. And she's kind of threatening to put it on the report, but he's like, take a walk with me, I'll explain everything. And he explains what happened to his brother and why he's taking those pills. And she kind of gives him she chucks the pills in the room, and she's like, when you're at Freddy's, you got to be awake and alert. But she does let him go off on his own. But of course, with what happened with Max, she's obviously not coming to babysit, so he has to take Abby to Freddy's with him. And under orders, like, you're going to sit there and sleep. He cleans up, makes it to about 4 o'clock, and then he falls asleep. Like, 2 more hours, man, come on. Get a grip. But she wakes up and she hears someone calling her name, and she goes to see the animatronics. And he's dreaming when she's doing this, and the little boy's like, I will give you what you want, but we want something in return. But before they can go any further, he hears some screaming. The boy disappears. He wakes up and goes running to check on Abby, who's being tickled by the animatronics, and the Freddy bear looks like he is ready to throw down with Mike on the spot. But they do let her go. They do manage to go without any problems. But when he puts her to bed, he notices on her board that she has been drawing the same kids he has been dreaming of, and she also drew a picture of the day Garrett, his brother, was kidnapped. And she tells him that it was the little boy who told her this, the blonde boy. And he kind of asks, like, the next time you see him, can you ask what happened? Can you try to figure it out? That night, and once again, he takes her to Freddy's, and Vanessa's already there. It turns out the kids actually told her about Vanessa, and Vanessa's a good person. And together with the animatronics even, they built this massive fort. And it is a fun little moment of bonding with the animatronics when Vanessa suggests going to get a tablecloth and Mike goes to help her. And he's trying to figure out how she knows all these things about this place. But she's being especially dodgy. And we get a close-up of one of the animatronics and the spring locks, and you get caught in there, but it's really bad. She's dodging questions and everything, not really answering. And they're like, why did you bring Abby here, you idiot? But they go back out on the floor in time to see Abby about to high-five Bonnie while they're performing, and she hits the guitar that pops and explodes and knocks her back and knocks her out for momentarily. And they go back outside, and Vanessa flat out tells them, you bring Abby back here, I will shoot you myself. Don't bring her back. So he goes off, and he makes a call one night, and it's to Aunt Jane. And instantly angers Abby, who does not like Aunt Jane. She automatically starts thinking the worst thing happened, and she locks herself in the room for the night. Wow, she sounds like she's just there to babysit, but Jane's like, when you get back here, I'm like, we're talking serious conversation. But he goes to get another prescription, back to Freddy's, and goes to sleep at Freddy's to try to dream about those kids one more time. And he starts having the dream, but it's different this time. Everyone is sitting at the picnic table, and the ghost kids come, and the blonde boy says, we can give you this dream every night. We want Abby. And he actually starts to say yes, and does say yes, but then changes his mind, like, no, you can't do this. And meanwhile, they start cutting him up, and he wakes up, and he's in the same chair from the security guard before him, and he just manages to slip out. He's banging on the door to try to get out. Foxy's about to come over, and the door starts to open, and then we cut back to the house with Abby and Jane, and we see Freddy in the background. Abby comes down, she sees him, and they're going to go, and Jane's on the floor, and he's like, that's fine, she's sleeping, and they take a taxi to Freddy's. And meanwhile, he wakes back up, and Veronica saved him. And we find out that Veronica is Ashton's daughter. Ashton is the guy who owns it. He's the one who killed all the kids and shoved their bodies into the suits. She knew all this time. And he's really upset with her, and she's like, well, here, these are how you take them out with electronics. You got to go now. They're going to put Abby in the suit. Ashton still controls the animatronics. So he runs there, he takes out 3 of them, and he just manages to save Abby from getting shunted into the suit, but now they got to escape. Because the yellow rabbit is on the scene now. And of course, inside the yellow rabbit is Raglan, aka Ashton. And Veronica holds him off for a little bit, but she ends up Ashton stabs her in the stomach. And Abby paints a picture showing that it's the yellow rabbit who killed all these kids because they don't remember how they became it. But with this reminder, they activate the spring locks in his suit, trapping him inside, leaving him to die. They drag him away. Mike and Abby grab Veronica and drag her out. And a few weeks go by, she's still in a coma. Abby and Mike are bonded really well. Her grades are improving, and we see Ashton still suffering in the yellow rabbit in the back. And we cut to credits. We have a terrible, stupid mid-credit scene, and that's the movie. Let's talk about the review. So, like I said, I don't know much about the game, just base knowledge, but everything that I knew base knowledge-wise was in this movie. The story, the summary of these are dead kids haunting these animatronics. The bodies are in the animatronics. William Ashton is the murderer. It all checks out. It's all there. There are a lot of great shots that appeared from the games and stills that I've seen. The animation from the title sequence was there. I think there's a dream sequence, which I think it was in the 4th game, according to memory. And Veronica from the newest video game is in this movie. And being the daughter, she was mind-wiped in the security breach. So they did pull a lot of this movie from the game. So I think if you're a fan of the games, you're really going to enjoy that. They really did. They did a great job taking all these loose bits and compiling them into a good little story. I really enjoyed the looks of the animatronics. I thought they did a really good job, especially the different expressions they made. Like when they were ready to throw, they were having a good time with Abby, and then ready to throw down with Mike because he came running over. I like the movements. I like they're menacing the way they'd stare at the cameras. I hated that stupid muffin though. I hated that stupid muffin. Cupcake thing, that was dumb. They're definitely fun to watch. That wasn't my point, I'm saying. The cast too was a really great job with the casting. I don't know why I never write them down. There's Piper Rudio, who played Abby. All the little kids did a really good job. John Hutcherson, who played Mike, I think he did a great job, but there was one element of a negative that I think hampered him just a little bit. But for the most part, I really enjoyed his performances. Like this suffering guy who's trying his best to be there for his little sister while suffering at the same time. So he's trying to weigh everything, and then pressure from Aunt Jane. Elizabeth Lowe was a lot of fun as Vanessa. I hope with the sequel, when we come back, that they bring her back. And I hope they all come back, to be honest. And Matthew Lillard. It is always great to see Matthew Lillard as a serial killer in movies. We don't get enough of that, so when we do, it's a true treat to us all. Alright, this might be a hot take. This needed to be R. We needed the gore. Yes, you can, on paper, make a good horror movie that doesn't have a lot of blood and gore. But those hits are very far in between. Giant robotic animatronics getting bloody, getting gory, would have added a really nice, fun element, especially when it came to Aunt Jane. We needed far more satisfaction from just seeing a flash of Freddy and then her on the ground. And then you can make the argument, this was always kids and teens horror game. Yeah, but this game series came out almost a decade ago. Most of the people who are going to be nostalgic and really wanted your hardcore base, they're adults now. And they could, I'm not telling you to go Saw levels of gore, Hostel levels of gore, just give us some more gore in this movie, and I think it would have done a lot better. Or giant animatronics killing people. You need a bit of carnage candy in this. And I do think it would have helped more than hindered. The bigger negative, though, is the runtime of this film. I think it is a bit too long. I'm not saying, I don't think you needed to cut any scenes. I think every scene was good. It had a purpose. It was needed to drive it. I think you needed to increase the pacing, particularly probably around the Jeff scene, because that scene didn't make any sense. You're trying to make Mike look like the bad guy, but you're breaking in when he's not on duty. He's not in there. They're not opening the store again, so trashing the place doesn't really do anything. All you're doing is giving him something to do for a few hours and cleaning up. It's not like Freddy's is opening again. He's there as a security guard, but Ashton knew who he was bringing into that place. He recognized the last name. And they did a really good job of not giving you that last name. Every time he was about to say it or introduce himself, it was just as Mike. But the runtime could have been a little shorter, or just quicken up the pace of some of these scenes, clean it up, make it look nice. Outside of that, though, I do believe that the pros did outweigh the cons by a little bit. And it is a movie I can definitely see myself watching again down the line at some point. So, my final grade, all in all, B-. I do think you should check it out on streaming or DVD. Give it a watch. You're going to have a good time. It is a fun movie. It's a bit long, but you're going to have a good time with it. That's all from me. Bye-bye.